And you're welcome back to the AM show. Now, you recall that last year, a group of aggrieved indigents of Central Kofi Akpafo and Lolobi areas petitioned Parliament over their exclusion from the 2020 Parliamentary Elections. The group is mounting pressure on the Legislative Chamber to try as much as possible to get a representative for the area, that's the SALL, Central Kofi Akpafo and Lolobi areas, as soon as possible. But that hasn't happened, and we know that the group is readying itself as Parliament prepares to sit once more. They're going back to the House to demand some answers. Joining us now is Dr. J.K. Adai, co-chairman of the group of the Central Kofi Akpafo Lolobi indigents. He's joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much, sir, for your time here on the AM show. So let's talk about your concerns. Last year, we know that it wasn't only in the Parliament House that you petitioned, but then some other stakeholders as well. Now that we know at least you're not getting any favorable answers from Parliament, let's first of all talk about, for instance, the Electoral Commission, which you also petitioned with regard to your concerns. What updates do you have from them on the demands you're making? Dr. J.K. Adai, let's do that once more. If you can hear me now, I'm just asking about, just before we go to Parliament, the concerns that you have with Parliament and what they need to do. We know that also the Electoral Commission, for instance, was petitioned as part of the moves to mount pressure and to get representation in Parliament. Have you heard from the EC ever since December when you first petitioned all stakeholders on this matter?
Good morning to your cherished listeners, and I will say that we have been in touch with EC over 2 years now. They have never responded to any of our letters, neither had it even gotten to us. Many a time we only get some news in the news portal. That is all. They have never even communicated with us.
So what do you consider yourselves to be now? The Guan district, or perhaps we have a new constituency? But I mean, what's really your status now as residents of Central Kofi Akpafo and Lolobi?
As you are aware, we don't belong to any community. I think we are the only community in Ghana who are without any representation in Parliament, and actually we don't even know where we belong to. We are actually an island within Ghana. That is what it is.
And now there's a fine opportunity for you to make a strong case again. Parliament is resuming in a few days from now. We understand that your group will be engaging the House once more on your demands. Tell us more about that.
You see, what happened is that, last year, I think exactly a year ago, we paid a courtesy call on the Honorable Speaker to highlight the challenges we are going through. And then he did assured us that, yes, we should bring a petition to Parliament. Since they are also another arm of government, they would be able to resolve our issue. 1 year on, I think we haven't had anything substantial from the Parliament. And that is why we had actually written to the Speaker to remind him that, yes, they should actually, as a matter of urgency, look into our case. And if you read our letter, we drew attention of the Parliament to the fact that I think almost at the same time, 499 students of the Ghana Law School were also denied admission in school, in the school. And they did petition the Parliament to have them reinstated. And it almost at the same time, but you realize that less than a few weeks, the grievances of those aggrieved students were addressed. So we were wondering why 1 year on the Parliament had not acted speedily on our issue. So that was what informed us to remind the Honorable Speaker that this is our position. They must act now because we are citizens of Ghana and we are also paying all the taxes, and we are law-abiding citizens.
Well, even before that engagement happens, some have been proposing what they term a lasting solution to your concerns. The fact that we have just 2 years away from now an opportunity to resolve the issue completely when we go for another turn of general elections. So why not wait until 2024 for a speedy or, sustainable resolution to the concerns that you're raising?
I think that is a rather unfortunate suggestion because, you see, the law says that every Ghanaian with sound mind has the right to be represented or his voice to be heard. So I don't think because of somebody's personal interest, over 20,000 inhabitants of a community should be disenfranchised. If I want to throw more light into this issue, the EC has no mandate to disenfranchise anybody. You understand? They exceeded their mandate, and I believe that the whole country is now sitting down looking unconcerned. You understand? Because the mandate of the EC is to organize elections and declare results. There is nowhere in the Constitution that EC has been mandated to look into your face and say, oh, your face is green, blue, yellow, so you cannot participate or you will not have representation in Parliament. And that is the core issue that we all need to address. Because if you remember, the President during his inaugural address, he said we should all be participants, or we should actively, participate in the democratic process and not be spectators. And here we are, 12 hours to a general election. EC sits in her office in her comfort and declared that, okay, these particular people should not have representation in Parliament. And we are all quiet. Is that fair? And we cannot wait until 2024, except EC or the whole world wants to admit that we are not part and parcel of Ghana.
Is it the case that you've lost completely hope in the Electoral Commission? The fact that they've given you assurances, they're working around the clock to deal with the issue?
Let me just throw more light into this issue. Somewhere in 2028, when EC from nowhere recommended Akpafu Lolobi or SALL people to go and participate in a referendum, during the creation of the OT region, if my memory serves me right, Article 5.2 was what the president was using to create a new region. And 5.2 specifically says that there must be a petition or a demand before you can be moved from your current location to any other place. And then Akpafu and Lolobi never petitioned. So on the 17th of September 2018, a powerful delegation led by the paramount chief of Lolobi traditional area and two other chiefs, the paramount chief of Akpafu traditional area and one divisional chief, we went to meet the East chair to demand why we didn't petition. Why should you lump us into people who are supposed to participate in the referendum? And the EC chair told us that yes, her hands were tied. She couldn't do otherwise. So we should go and see the president or Honorable Dan Bochwe. You understand? So what we did was we followed. So you could see that if you go to the genesis of the current impasse that we are facing now, or our disenfranchisement, it started from somewhere. You see, there are some invisible hands pulling strings left and right. This is exactly what happened. So when we went to meet Honorable Dan Bochwe, that was on the 11th of November, and then when the delegations were introduced to him, he openly apologized to our paramount chiefs and said, he is very sorry. It is now too late because he mentioned some two names that they came to impersonate the two traditional areas. So we demanded that if there is an impersonation, why can't you reverse it? And he said, it's too late, so they cannot do anything. So you realize that during the referendum, at least, our people never participated. There was a boycott. Over 95% of the people boycotted the election, the so-called referendum.
Right.
So you could see that these are the genesis of the problem.
We've gone past that now. You're deciding to resort to Parliament as part of the solution. And just from what you're telling us, you're heading into a meeting in one of these days with the Speaker of Parliament. Some say we're also heading in for a constitutional deadlock. The fact that the Electoral Commission remains an independent body as stipulated within the Constitution of the Republic. So Parliament may not necessarily be the solution to this problem. What do you say to that?
You see, if you, even though EC is an independent body, they also work under rules and laws of this country. Because if my memory serves me right, you know, any referendum, any commission of inquiry, there is an avenue or a window of redress. And it is stated in the Constitution that if there is any adverse finding on any group or individuals during what you call this in any commission of inquiry, you have the right to petition or appeal. And you know the findings of every what you call it commission of inquiry is adjudged to be as a ruling of the High Court. So what happened was that we took advantage of that window of opportunity, and since the 19th of September 2019, we were in the appeals court, and all that needed to be done is the court registry to compile the records and the findings and then sit on it. And as we speak, the appeal courts have refused to hear our case. You see, because of this, because we engage the services of one of the best lawyers or constitutional lawyers in town, Martin Pebu. He is handling that case. When we went to the High Court to challenge that order, the registrar of the court is now telling the court that it is not his duty to compile those records of the proceedings, which is very strict. And as at now, you see, we went through the normal process. We went to the judiciary. The judiciary failed us. We personally appealed to the Chief Justice to address the issue. To date, we have not heard from him. So that was why we appealed. We had also appealed to the executive, the presidency. That one also fell on deaf ears. And the judiciary has also refused to hear our case. You understand? So the only arm of government which is left to appeal to was the parliament. That was why we went to pay a courtesy call on the Speaker of Parliament. And yes, it is within his jurisdiction to also address our issues, because the same EC also comes to the same Parliament to seek permission to lay any CI or any constitutional instrument. So I don't think Parliament, it was a wrong place we have been. And
Doc,
the institute doesn't work in isolation.
Right.
Yeah.
Doc, let's be clear on your demands again.
Come again?
Let's be clear on your demands again. Is it a call for a new constituency, or perhaps your demand is to go back to your mother constituency, which happens to be in the Volta region, Hohwe constituency? Is that where you want to go back to?
Yeah, that is right, because from beginning I told you that Lolobi and Akpapu traditional areas never petitioned to be considered to be part of OT region. So, and then we have used the court, and the court have refused to even hear our case. So our clear demand is that, yes, we belong to Hohwe constituency, and that is where we are at home.
Yeah, but now,
and then,
just hold on for me. Just hold on for me.
On the 9th of March this year.
Doc, if you just hold on for me.
Okay.
I mean, speaking in terms of the administrative region within which you find yourself, your group, I mean SALL, Central Kofi Ekpafu Lolobi areas, you are now finding yourselves within the OT administrative area. Technically speaking, it will be impossible to have a Volta regional constituency in another region. That's where the deadlock is, isn't it?
No, but you see, because on the other hand, we don't belong there, because the Constitution was very clear that before you be moved into a new region, certain conditions or criteria must be met. And here we have a case where Lolobi and Akpapu never petitioned to be in OT. So whatever they have done, it is wrong, and constitutionally cannot also hold water. You understand?
Are you now coming to terms? Are you now coming to terms with the fact that perhaps you have lost that beautiful opportunity of making a statement when you had the opportunity to participate in the referendum? You didn't do that, and partly you're paying for the sins of the past.
No, it is not so, because people who were supposed to partake in the referendum or the people who petitioned. You understand? Because you see, we are not in an authoritarian state that somebody will just come and say, community A, B, C, D, go and do. That is why the president used, in his own wisdom, used Article 5.2. And so if you don't petition, why should you go and participate in the decision? So I think
but then
that
same constitution gives the powers to the president to commission or put in place a commission to inquire whether or not we need a new region or not. He can act in that manner, isn't it?
Yes, and the same constitution also empowers anybody on whom adverse findings have been made to appeal. And so I may ask, why is it that, the courts are refusing to even address our issues? Because it is our right to appeal against any wrong finding. Is that not it? Because the Justice Provost Commission is not the absolute power. Because if you go into the nitty-gritty of it, page 91 of the Justice Provost Commission report is saying that we, the people of the Northern Territory or Volta region, decide to put one single application to be considered as part of OT. No, because what pertains in Ketekrachi cannot be automatically true for the people in the southern area of Volta region. You understand? So the Justice Provost Commission itself had its own problems, and that is why we had resort to the courts, and the courts have refused to even give us a hearing. That is where the problem is. You understand?
It's like a broken record now. It's like a broken record now. But at least, if the Chief Justice were to be listening to you now, I hope he's listening now, or perhaps any of his assigns. What would be your message to the Chief Justice on your countless demands and appeal for him to at least listen to the case that you're making?
Yeah, we will just appeal to him because we are Ghanaian citizens and it is our right for our voices to also be heard. Because if I will recall, on the 23rd of December 2020, yes, the people there was a court case that was sent to Ho. The same Attorney General issued a certiorari and pulled that case out of Ho within a few days, and the case was settled in the Supreme Court. So we believe that the people of SALL also deserve to be heard. I mean, he should just allow the judicial process to work, because the duty of a registrar of the High Court or the Supreme Court is to compile processes and records for an appeal. And as I speak, that thing had not been done. And when we appealed, they said, no, it is not the duty of the registrar. So if it's not the duty of the registrar to compile the records and processes, then whose duty is it? Because the registrar is being paid for that job. And secondly, I want just to remind you that on the 9th of March this year, Attorney General went to the Parliament, the same Parliament we have appealed to, and said that, yes, it was wrong for the 7th Parliament to create a new district less than a month to a general election. So that was why he was saying that that district must be annulled, and then a rerun of elections so that SALL can also participate in whichever constituency they deem it fit. That is the court. If Attorney General herself had realized, because it was wrong for anybody just a month to a general election to go and dissolve this and create a new district, which you cannot even create a constituency for. So that was part of our demand to the Parliament.
Anyway, I guess Kofi Adams will be smiling at that last point you're raising there. But Dr. J.K. Adai, co-chairman of the Central Kofi Akpafo-Lolobi areas, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And thank you too for staying with us here on the AM show. When we return, you have your say as well. We'll check out social media, what many of you have been talking about on the stories that we brought to you, particularly the flooding situation here in Accra. We'll do that, plus your calls right here on the AM show. Please stay.